I'm not in the right one, am I? Because you're not in there. No, wait. Participants, yep, I see them now. Okay, I'm good. Admit all.
Recording in progress.
Hi, everybody. Meeting some more. Here comes some more folks. Hi, everybody.
Recording in progress.
That's you.
Okay, welcome, everyone. We're getting feedback. Hold on, we're just dealing with the feedback. Testing, testing. Who's is not on mute? Oh, if it says no sound. Let's see. We're fixing the tech. Hang on.
Now try it.
You all hear me now? Okay, yes. Michael saved us. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. It is 2:35 on December 16th. And we will begin with roll call. Kat Odell, and I am here. Michael.
Present.
Philip.
Commissioners, if you're joining remotely, would you please note for the record if anyone is with you in the room, if they are an adult or if they are a minor with board business?
Philip, we didn't hear you. Sorry. If you could just say one more time you're here and let us know who's in the room.
Name is Luis Lopez. I am attending from the office of Senator Joyce Buenaventura. I'm appearing remotely, and I'm an adult, and no minors are with me.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to come back to Philip because I don't think we've heard him. How about Shanda? Shanda, are you here?
Present, and there is nobody here with me.
Perfect, thank you. And Sandy?
I'm present. There's no one with me.
Thank you. Joe, I think he said he couldn't attend today.
Correct.
Rocco?
Present. No one's in the room with me.
Thank you. And Rick?
Present, no one in the room.
And Philip is working on his sound. You can't hear? Yeah, Aaron, is it okay if he types in the chat that he's here?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, let's see if he sees that. Oh, he says connecting to audio now. That's looking up. Philip, did you hear, can you hear us now? I saw it was connecting to audio. Now unmute yourself. There you go.
Oh God, am I
Right.
here? Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
Anyone in the room with you, Philip?
No.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, do we have of our ex-officiados here, do we have Beth? Schimmelfennig? No,
Yep, she's here.
here?
Oops. Hi, I'm here. No one's in the room.
Thank you. And Camaron, Miyamoto? Not here. And then we have, let's see, David Rodriguez? Okay, and Signy Nakamura Dureza?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hi, thank you. Kristen Takushi? You're online, aren't you, Kristen? I see your name.
Hi, I'm here, and no one's here in the room with me.
Thank you. And Thaddeus, are you here today?
Yeah, hi, Kat. This is Thaddeus, he, him. There's no one here in the room with me. I will have to step out halfway through and come back, but thank you.
Thanks for letting us know. All right, fantastic. And then for the rest of you who are online, I heard from El Lopez. And we have Keith. And EL is Aaron. And then I have one more whose name I do not recognize. If you want to come off mute and let us know who you are.
Yes, hi. My name is Amelia Dudley. I'm committee clerk to Senator Sam Buenaventura. I am in the room with Louise, but we're on the same meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Amika.
Hi, Mika.
No one in the room with me. I work both with Department of Health in the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Division, along with UH West Oahu as an instructor in psychology.
Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Okie dokie.
Kat, could
Yes.
could you please, just since I didn't hear right away, what time was the meeting called to order, please?
2:35.
And I don't see Commissioner Tolbe. Is he here?
He is not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start off with our commissioner shares and concerns. So who would like to share of our commissioners? Any concerns or things you want to bring up? Not on the agenda? Ready?
Anybody else before I go?
I do.
Please.
Okay. Sorry, my printer is going. So first of all, I would just like to express my outrage at Maui Preparatory Academy's recent draft policy targeting transgender and gender expansive youth. I know that we're going to be addressing that, but I wanted to put that on record. And also express my opposition to the House's approval of the National Defense Bill that includes language banning gender affirming care for youth. I urge us all to contact our senators to vote against this bill as long as it has such language. And just to consider, I guess this is probably new business, so I'll let that go. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanda. Michael?
Okay, following off Shanda's, I too was abhorred by what's coming out of Maui Preparatory Academy. So I'm gonna make a motion now that we add that onto our under new business last item to discuss the issue as well as debate and vote on the draft statement that was prepared and put into your board packets. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Yes.
Board members, I'm deeply concerned that there's nothing on your agenda that is really connected to talking about this specific issue. You can amend your agenda by 2/3 vote to include it. However, that would be scrutinized as to whether there is any connection to your current agenda or not. I'm just letting you know of the possibilities.
Who would be scrutinizing this, Aaron?
The Office of Information Practices.
And I'm fully well aware, and I'm fully prepared to go before them to defend this.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Aaron about the possible consequences of adding this to the agenda?
I do. What would be the actual consequence? I understand that we typically will not be bringing up anything that's not on the agenda, and this is a last minute item. So while we can vote to discuss it, if we do discuss it, what would the consequence be?
Well, he had motion for two different things, which is not only to discuss, but to take action on it. And so one possible consequence is that if you do take action, OIP can negate that action. And then and then you would just, put it into a regular agendized item with the proper notice, meeting the proper notice requirements, and then redo everything.
For lack of a better term, they'll slap our hands and tell us not to do it again.
They might. There's also, it's a misdemeanor if you intentionally violate any of the provisions of sunshine law. I'm not saying that you are intentionally doing it. I'm just saying that that is what's in the law in terms of potential penalties.
And board, fellow commissioners, I'm willing to face those penalties should they be brought, since I'm the one to make the motion. And then also, I do want to point out that this was also part of the board packet. So the public, while it may not have been on the agenda, it was also made available to everybody that received the board packet, which is available through all of our social media channels, as well as those that have requested the agenda to be sent to them.
And I totally understand that it was in your board packet. It's just that the notice requirements for the board packet and the agenda are different, and they're different for a reason. And it's not to, supplement the agenda without putting things on the agenda. And I know that's not your intention. I'm just letting you know that I don't know if that argument would be looked at as in a positive interpretation.
Red?
I had a question. I wonder if can we send a letter requesting information and simply have that as our addition to the agenda versus sending basically rewording what we have and just requesting information from the school to provide to our commission. I wonder if that's something that we could include under new business, to request additional information from another entity. So we might ask one or two of the commissioners to rework this letter. Aaron, are letters requesting information allowed?
Again, that would be more of it. It's not about what you're doing, it's about if you're doing something. So any action taken, even if it's just requesting information, would be, under the analysis of was it an action or not. It doesn't actually matter what the action is. Is it an action or not? And if it's an action, then did the public have, notice that you might be taking this action? And then in this case, because it wasn't on your agenda, it would, then they would look at whether it was really that reasonable to amend your agenda by 2/3 vote? And then add it and then take this action.
Does the timing of it, Aaron, fit into this at all? Like, because things do come up between the time we make the agenda and the meeting, and things do need to be responded to in a timely manner. Is that considered?
Yes, and so I think that's why when you had your at the last meeting, when there was an amendment to the agenda to vote on whether to send someone to a national conference, due to those actual timelines that you had to meet, it seemed reasonable to amend your agenda at that time. But what is the deadline that you are trying to meet here? Like, what is the justification for doing this without a properly noticed meeting?
Their policy goes into effect 2025. And that's in 2 weeks.
And okay, well, I mean, again, even if you guys can decide what you want to do, if you feel that the policy going into effect in 2 weeks is enough justification to amend your agenda, then I'm glad we had this discussion, because, you know, that deadline would change the analysis. It's not just, oh, this happened and let's change our agenda to meet it. It's, this thing happened, there's a deadline, we don't have time to meet it otherwise.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. So there is a vote.
But I do want to say that even, again, it's going to be OIP that would scrutinize all of this and decide.
Thank you. Any public testimony on this? Okay, so we have a movement and a second. Commissioners, anyone abstaining? Sandy is abstaining. For the record there. Rick, are you abstaining? Okay, Rick is abstaining. All those in favor? So that's myself and Michael, Shanda, Rocco, and Philip for the vote. And then that's all of us, so no one is opposed.
Sorry.
So we will add that to the agenda.
How many?
Sorry, what, Aaron?
Chair, how many people voted in favor?
1, 2, 3, 5. Bill says
Shanda and
5
Maria
in favor,
abstain.
2 abstain, 1 is not here.
Okay, so I think you needed 6 people, because 2/3 of 8 is 5.3. And so I think you needed 6 people to change your agenda. So I don't think your motion passes.
Okay, motion has failed. Commissioners, anyone else want to give testimony or rather have concerns?
Well, I have a couple more.
Please.
The other thing that leads right into this is that we need to figure out something that, how we can address these issues in real time. Something for a future agenda item that, because things like this is not going to be the only thing that's going to come up that we are going to need to address between meetings or after the agenda's been processed, that we can be able to respond to in a timely manner. And so for a future meeting, I would like to see something on there to have for us to somehow be able to address these things. Because it sends a horrible message when this body refuses to act, when we're looking at something that doesn't just impact, when it negatively impacts our community. So, moving on, today is the deadline to apply for scholarships. If you live, you don't live on Oahu, to be able to get, they will, Triple HRC will cover your airfare, a round trip to get you to Oahu for the, harm reduction conference that we are a co-sponsor of. So today's the deadline to apply for that. And another, the other thing, speaking of traveling, is that if you plan on using commission funds, you do need to understand the process of what it takes to get reimbursed and all the paperwork that goes into traveling. So yeah, I got to refresh myself on that one with the last trip last month. And so I provided everybody with the links and information. It took me 8 hours of refreshing myself, and then finding all the things and filling all the paperwork out. And a big thank you out to Kristen for expediting that to get so that the commission, so the state would pay with using the P card, my airfare and the registration. Just so everybody knows that they cannot use the P card for any hotels. And then a reminder that the MLK Junior Parade is January 20th here on Oahu. And there's the information for that in my so.
Thank you. And I'm going to add an update to that, just to let me know that using the P card in the future may not be possible. So please don't make that assumption about travel. You may need to pay everything up front, airfare and everything, and then fill out proper paperwork and wait to be reimbursed. Sandy. Wait.
Wait, can I ask about that? May I ask?
Item.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda.
I can't ask you a question about something you just said.
Aaron, can you ask me a question?
I'm sorry, I am. I thought he was just asking a question about something.
Yeah, he just wants
about
some clarification on what I just said.
Yeah, what is there a problem?
Well, it's not I don't think so. Why wouldn't we be able to use a P card anymore? I mean, I've already made 2 trips and have not been reimbursed. So I'm a little hesitant to, make more trips over. And now that there's no P card, which means I have to foot the bill completely up front. And then, I mean, it's already been close to 2 months since I took my first, well, no, it's over 2 months, frankly. I came over on the 1st of October and it's in the middle of December. So we're talking in excess of 8 weeks to get reimbursed. So I'm just saying, why is there no, and I know Commissioner Tolbe has similar concerns. So it just makes it really prohibitive for us to come over. And now it's even more of an expense. We're talking at least, by the time you talk about flying over and then staying, we're talking at least $500 or $600. So my question is why?
I'm trying to. I think I'm trying to answer the chair's question and your question at the same time.
Okay.
But and the reason why I'm asking it more from a sunshine perspective, in that I'm trying to figure out where on the agenda we are. I thought maybe we're talking about the
Commissioner's
concern. Oh, okay.
That is a concern.
Okay, yes. So yes, I think you can ask your question if you have a concern.
Okay, there it was. That's my concern, is it's prohibiting those of us who don't live on Oahu from actively, to be there. So why is there no P card? That's my question. Why are we putting the entire thing up front?
Well, Kristen can correct me, but because we aren't assigned a P card for the commission, there is probably one that exists for the department, and it's at their discretion what they use it for.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
That's not a great answer, but
well,
Aaron,
if
sorry.
that's the answer, that's the answer.
Aaron, am I able to respond to Philip's concern? or his question regarding
If
the
you,
travel?
if you want to, but if you need to research it and then you want to get back to the chair because this is more administrative rather than board business, that would also be fine.
Okay. Oh, well, the reimbursement. So I've done all the paperwork. It's sitting with the secretaries, and I know some of them are backed up. I am constantly reminding or finding the fastest way for you guys to get reimbursed and nagging them as much as possible to get your guys reimbursements. But it's also out of my control because I'm not authorized to do POs to get you guys your full reimbursement. I don't have access to that.
Right.
So I prepare the paperwork and I prepare the PO for them to just look it over and then get the proper signatures or give me the okay for them to push it through. So I have not, I know some of them are waiting a long time right now. But I'm trying to push as fast as I can, and I'll bring it up to the director as well. I brought it up to him before, but I know we are a little short, or they are short staffed and backed up right now.
Thank you. It wasn't even a concern on my mind until Kat said something. So it's not like I'm sitting here like, where's my money? It was when she said there would no longer be a P card, it did sort of raise a question like, well, how often are we going to have to, because it is at least $500 or $600 up front, a plane ticket and a couple Uber rides and, a hotel. So, but thank you. I appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Commissioners, anyone else have any concerns before we move on to ongoing business updates? Okay, so first is a discussion on the table that we're going to have at the Hawaii State.
Sorry, Chair. I think you accidentally missed asking if there's any public testimony on the agenda item.
Public testimony on the commissioner's shares or concerns. Okay. Moving on to number 2 then, our discussion for the conference that's coming up on January 10th at Mānoa. First up is who's attending. I can't even remember, to be honest, if I officially registered or not. I'm gonna have to look, but I know we had 2 free ones and I was waiting to see if somebody was gonna utilize those before I did. So who all is attending? Show of hands. Shanda, Michael, Rocco, wonderful. Philip, great. And is anyone using the 2 free ones? Anyone else?
My thought is like, if we are, which I know we're going to get into, is having a table or having a booth, and then somebody's going to work, somebody's going to be responsible for person being at the booth, maybe those people should get the free passes. Because what is the individual registration? It's like $60 or something.
Did everybody already register and pay? I guess that's the question first.
I did not.
Rick, you're waving to say you have or you haven't? You have.
Yes, I paid already.
Okay, so is anybody else not paid besides Philip and I? Rocco, you paid?
I'm actually going to be, I'm going with a group from Kona. So I'll be doing basically just private, helping them out.
Well then, Philip, I would say go ahead and use the free one, and I will use the other. I think we have some email somewhere, so I'm going to go to that.
I will forward you that if you don't have it.
Okay, and then, right, who's going to be on the table? Of those of you who are attending, we're going to have a table. Who would like to take some time at the table? How many hours is it?
It's from 8 to 4.
8 to 4.
Let's
Do you want to do like 2-hour time slots, you all?
I could do 2 hours.
I can as well. I'll just have to find out my obligations with the other group, but I'm more than happy to help with the table.
Who wants the first shift?
I can do that.
Thank you, Shanda. And then 10 to 12?
I'll do that.
Thank you, Philip.
Although if it's 8 to 4, maybe we should start at 7:30. Catch people walking in.
Yeah, and we'll have to set up, right?
Yeah.
So move it to 7:30 to 9:30. That's you. Okay, and then 9:30, 11:30 is Philip, and then 11:30 to 1:30. I can do any of these. So we have 1:30 to 3:30, and then probably cleanup, right?
I can help with the afternoon, anytime after 12:30, Kat, if that helps.
Absolutely does. So Rocco, I'll put you down for the next one, the 11:30.
Or
And then oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, no, you said after 12. Sorry, I'll put you down for 1:30.
yeah,
1:30.
yeah, 1:30 I can do, definitely.
And then Rick, did you want to do a shift?
Yeah, I'd like to. I haven't reviewed the schedule, and I do have to attend some of the sessions for the CEUs. But I for right now, you can put me at the 11:30 to 1:30 slot. And then I don't know if there'll be people who might be able to switch off an hour here or there, and I can come cover your shift depending on after I look at the schedule again.
I'm happy to be, flexible, and I'm not. There's nothing I have to do while I'm there, so I'm happy to help out, or if the table seems crowded, or you need extra people, or clean up, or maybe not set up at 7:30, but clean up.
Thank you, Philip.
Yeah, no
Mike,
problem.
do you want to be on any particular time slot?
I'm presenting, so.
You're presenting, okay. And then I'll just spot whoever, I'll just be there, and whoever needs breaks or needs spotted or whatever, I'll be the floater. All right, now items to be included on the table. We don't really have items. Yeah, for the parade, we did just a one pager that Thad put up for us at his booth that had a QR code to our website. That's all we've had so far. So what do you all think?
I think that those flyers that have the QR code, I think we should definitely have those. And I don't know how to do this efficiently, but having something referencing the shield law that we're working on. Obviously, having the actual text of what is currently being worked on would be useful, but also maybe, I don't know if we want to distribute any kind of public information about it. That sounds like it might be complicated. And there is another human being in the house that will not be able to hear you, but is actually here. Do I need to mention a name?
Erin, does she have to mention the name? I don't know.
Is it an adult or a minor with board business?
It's an adult, no one with business, no one that will be paying any attention to this, but is actually here.
And can, in the room with you? Or just in a
no.
different room and is here?
Probably
when
walking
you
through intermittently.
Oh. I mean, if it doesn't, I would just say it just so that we can move on.
Okay. Great. Richmond Brack.
Okay, anyone else? What do you think we should put on the table?
I was going to suggest, I really like the idea about the QR code just because it's the most efficient way to get some interaction with our logo. But would it possibly be helpful to have a printout of the legislative priorities that we all agreed to last visit? Whether it's just information on the table so people can kind of see what our priorities are?
I like that idea.
Yeah.
When people ask, who are you and what are you doing? It's like, this is.
Yeah.
And similarly, our directives as well. So I know that that's in the board packet of us working on, but the text of the bill establishing us says that we're going to serve as a clearinghouse, all of those things. We should have that in text as well.
I think we have to decide which things we're going to include and then which ones are going to be printed off versus just having their, like, to display. But then we have to decide how they're going to be printed off. I'm not sure if we need to pay for printing, for example, or if that's something that we can ask Kristen if we can print a certain X number off here. I don't know. But of those three items, we have flyers with QR code, legislative priorities, and directives. Which of those things would you want printed off to distribute versus just having a copy or two?
I think the flyers with the QR codes is probably the only one I think that we need many copies of.
You don't think they just grab the QR code? A lot of conferences I attend now aren't giving anything out paper because people don't like to hold on to it. We could have a fishbowl and maybe collect email addresses if they want to be added to our list, or is that possible?
We already have the Google Doc that's being used.
So maybe a QR code for that.
So,
Would it be strange to have all of our bios printed on the table and then just have one QR code that takes to the website?
yeah, that would be weird.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can we expand on that? I thought that was going to be an idea we had of having like a little bio of just to show there are actually 14 commissioners. So I think if we have at least something with our names or the positions that we're in, that I think that would be a good idea. Is there something that is there a reason it shouldn't be done?
Our bios are all on the website, right? For most of us.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can print them out and put them in a little, 1/4-inch binder they have on there. If people want to, would that be?
Are people really gonna stop and read those respectfully? I mean, really, if you're at a conference, etc., and it's an 8-hour conference, and I'm questioning whether I'm imagining myself walking around. Am I gonna read? It's like, who are you and what do you guys do? It feels like that's just my.
I agree, Philip. Nobody would read like a binder, but I was just thinking about more just our names, like Philip from Kauai, Joe from Maui. That's all I was thinking, maybe a listing. And then we have our 6 ex-officio members that we should include as well.
We can keep a list there for sure of everybody's names if anyone asks, wants to see it. Like, I feel like we could have one like binder or whatever of things that we're going to just have a copy of at the booth if anybody asks for it. Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to include that just in case someone asks, but that's not too much effort to print out one thing. So which things then would we be handing out? Rocco, I feel like you have a ton of experience with booths and advertising and all the things.
I guess I just don't understand what the intention is of this table then. Like, I mean, I understand that we're just supporting it because we're sponsoring it. I mean, what is the message that we're trying to get out? I don't even know what this thing is, really. I mean, I've never been to anything like this. So what is our intention of being there and being present other than just showing face? I think that the QR code is essential just so we can get people using that website. But I also think that, you know, making sure that people see the legislative priorities that are important to us is very important on there too. If I was going to hand anything out, that would be it. But I also think that you're probably right that a lot of people just don't want literature. They're going to be walking around doing other things. So I think the easiest, most effective way to do a printout where it could just be that would be the most effective. But do we even need it at that point, or should we just rely on the QR code?
I'm okay with making a binder. I can do that pretty easy with the things that we listed. And then for that, I had like a picture frame that I put the QR code in that just sat on the table. So I think
it'll probably be good too that we're taking shifts, so that way at least there's just a bunch of faces connected to the group. I think that that'll do us probably more good than anything.
And similar to the getting emails for a fishbowl, if we could have something out that people could write their thoughts and we could solicit their opinions and bring that up at our next meeting. Hey, everybody had this opinion, or they wanted us to focus on this. These are the themes that we noticed in people's comments, that kind of thing. So maybe we can add that to the next agenda that we're going to discuss that ahead of time.
Do you want them to actually fill out a paper, like a little quarter sheet of paper about what their thoughts on what we should be prioritizing or their concerns? I feel like we could make a QR code
exactly.
Too, but I'm not sure how many QR codes we want to have. It might get confusing, but I mean, I can make a Google form and a QR code for that. That is easier to capture the data and to aggregate it if it's in a Google form than to read the handwriting, but.
I agree that the QR code, I think most people will be using because that's how we do things. However, I was thinking for anyone with any barriers to technology that just wants to write it down real quick and maybe be anonymous. So having just paper, I think, would also be a good thing. I don't think we need a QR code for it.
The QR code for the Google form, it can be anonymous. We don't have to collect email addresses. I think that's a better idea anyway, but so I'll make a QR code with Google form and paper, have paper and pens there. Is that right? Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay. So to recap, I have one flyer with a QR code for our website, one printout of our legislative priorities, one printout of our directives, one printout of the list of all commissioners, and then another flyer with a QR code for anything that they want to tell us that they are concerns or they'd like it to be a priority, and then also include paper and pens for them to write it down if they're not able to access the QR code. Did I get everything? Okay. The other thing we have on here is a banner. So right now it doesn't sound like we'll have any cost for flyer printing anything, but how about for a banner? We have the banner from the parade. Does that work out there then?
No.
No.
It's 8 feet by 4 feet. It's too big. So we need something like 6 by 3.
6 by 3, like one of those tablecloth ones, or?
I don't know where we get one printed, let it quickly get it back here. So I would be in the mindset that we would go with a banner that can, because as Rocco and I can, and Shanda can attest to that, the 8 by 4 banner is kind of wieldy.
So if it's just a banner, you have to figure out how you're attaching it to the booth. And then you have to tape it, right? So tape the banner, and then a tablecloth, which will probably also have to be taped down because it's windy.
We'll probably be inside.
Oh, is that right? Is it inside?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Is it an actual, so I've done some events before, so is it an actual table, like one of those plastic Costco 6-foot, do we know?
I'm not sure what the material is made out of, but I can double check.
Kristen, what was the turnaround on getting that banner printed? Do you remember for the one we got for the parade? How long did that take?
I think it was less than a week.
So shall we go with the same company since they already have the logo and all the things? Does that make sense?
I'll lay out the banner for this one, because we're also gonna need to put the QR code in.
Yes, you guys can go with
And
the
I
same
think
company. It was IL copy.
Okay.
So do you want to
so.
maybe
Maybe we
Go
can
ahead.
empower Michael to reach out to the organizers of the event to ensure that we know how big our space will be, and with forethought of considering that in the future we may, I expect we're going to have a standard size table, but if that's not going to work, maybe we should get a smaller one. I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
Be a good idea, Shanda, yeah. Even if it's not the full length of the table, if it's something we can use in multiple places, that's a good thing.
And somebody who's done multiple table events, if you go 6 feet is your standard. And now, then you get a longer table, you get a longer table.
Yeah. When you look at the prices, do you want to, should we look if they can do a tablecloth in time or just stick with the band?
IA does not do tablecloths. Nobody on Ireland does tablecloths.
Really? That's not very
Hmm.
convenient.
If you guys go through IL copy again, all you have to do is, so I was the one who put the banner to get together, like, and then gave them the draft of it, and then they printed it out. But if you guys are giving them just like piecemeal of your banner and then having them lay it out or create the design, I think there's an extra charge for it.
I will do the layout.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, and does anyone remember the cost for that? Crystal, do you happen to remember?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you one more time.
Do you remember the cost for the banner?
I can pull that up. Let
It's
me try
gonna be
to.
less than $200. I just run numbers.
Less than 200?
It's gonna be less than $200.
Oh, yeah, it was 70 bucks. I think it was maybe just for the banner itself, it was less than $100. I want to say,
That sounds about right.
or it might be around that $100 kind of area.
And since we're gonna be smaller, drastically smaller, should be cheaper. It's like they have a sale on now, a 5x3, $50 or something like that. At a company.
Any further discussion before I ask for public testimony? I can follow up with an email with the schedule, just to make sure everybody has it. Okay, public testimony? Okay, then we need to vote to approve the funds for the banner.
You need a motion.
We need a motion to vote for.
Make a motion.
Sammy. Sorry, who was seconded?
Rick,
Rick seconded. Okay, any abstentions? All in favor? Sandy, are you voting in favor of the banner?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to hit unmute. I'm in favor.
All right, everyone is in favor, so we will purchase the banner for the table. Thank you to Michael. Taking that.
And just so there's, for full transparency, while I did say yes, I am presenting there, I will not be presenting as a commissioner. I'll be presenting in one of the other hats I will. So I'll be saying things some of you may not like.
Oh, that's on this. Okay, now I might have to go watch this to see, Michael. Oh, okay. Next up, we have update on the progress for hiring the secretary. I did check in with Kristen earlier today, and she did let me know that they are going to have in-person interviews in January. They're scheduled. Yeah, so that's at least movement, right?
Mhm.
Right.
I do have about 3 or 4 applicants right now scheduled.
Yay! Thank you.
No problem.
I love good news.
Anybody want to say anything about that before I ask for public testimony? Public testimony? Okay. And then Rick, I was wondering if you have an update on the National Governors Association Policy Academy to Drive Thriving Youth Mental Health and Wellbeing Survey.
yeah, thank you. The survey was very brief. And luckily, it was concerning issues that we happen to have talked about this month. Basically, they're asking, what are our concerns about youth mental health? But these were drop-down menu responses. The whole survey took 5 minutes to complete, and I only included those items that we had discussed at our last meeting, namely looking at issues like trying to set up emergency shelters and looking at mental health preparation for providers. So those were the things that we did. It was completed and done within a day.
Thank you very much, Rick. Appreciate you taking the time to do that.
It was no problem.
Public testimony on that? Okay, awesome. That's probably the easiest thing on our agenda right there, Rick. Thank you. Okay, update on commission legislative priorities for the 2025 legislative session, which are in the board packet. The one under A on our agenda, I put the LRB link in there because that's the folks that will help you write bills and give you advice on the whole process. So that's a great resource. Just wanted to put that out there. But who would like to give us an update on their legislative priority?
I'll just go through and get both of mine and then.
Sure.
Okay, so the Gender Affirming Care Protection Bill, that's the one that we approved back in August. The Rep Tam has the version, so does, so that's all set to be introduced. So we're moving forward. Since Abby's a member of the transgender community, I'm letting Abby take the lead on that one and following her lead, but providing advice and guidance. So that's all set. Expanding gender markers for birth certificates, they're just using the bills that were already introduced in 2023. And I already have an introducer in both chambers for those. If you want to see what those bills look like, they're hot linked into the board packet. And then next down is E, expanding the board from 8 to 11. That bill has been drafted, and I just need to find somebody on the Senate side to introduce it. I already have a House introducer. And then amending the surrogacy laws. We'll follow using the task force. You already have the report. Their final report is in the draft of the bills there. And so just following up with that, and part of it's your first attachment in the board packet, so you can read that. I have not started drafting the resolution yet because resolutions have a different timeline than bills. That will be over the holiday kind of drafting, because the deadline for those aren't until later. And then using the bills from 2023 again as the blueprint, and I'm reaching out to those that were part of the coalition in 2023 and beforehand about because it doesn't just deal with LGBTQI issues, it also has a Kanaka Maoli component to it as well. So, and it's not say half hour for all of this. There's different components into the bill. So, and again, those I already have introducers for everything but the Senate on one side for my bills. Leave on.
Fantastic. Thank you, Michael. Let's see. How about Shanda? The updates?
Not much, but yes, I have reached out to Senator Chris Lee to plan legislation mandating coverage of gender-affirming care. And I've also reached out and heard back from Senator Tam regarding collaborating to ban non-consensual genital surgery on intersex individuals. More to come.
Thank you, Shanda. Sandy, do you have any updates on yours?
I wish I had more updates, but I should have more by the January. The people I'm needed to talk to have been out and we haven't been able to connect. So I should have more in the January meeting.
Thank you, Sandy. Let's see. Rick, you have one? You're on mute, Rick.
Thank you. I have been talking to different stakeholders involved with emergency shelters for unaccompanied youth. There are a lot of players, and I think I'm going to have to depend a little bit on our commissioners from the various state agencies, Beth, Kristen, Thad, and Camaron. But I am speaking with, I've already reached out to child and adult mental health about some of their programs. I did speak very briefly with the woman who is in charge of RISE. Carla Hauser is her name. And she indicated that she did refer me to another bill. It's called Act 130. And let me see if I can give you that. It's in 2023, House Bill number 106 was looking at funding demonstration projects just for emergency shelters for youth. I'm looking to see what the status of that is, and I'm talking to a number of people in the homeless provider community and with the youth homeless outreach community. So I did speak with Alika Campbell from Alikipa, and I've also spoken to Elon from the partners. So I'm not sure exactly how we should proceed, but I'm going to be talking to them some more, have an update next month.
Thank you, Rick. And for mine, we haven't met yet, the folks who are taking the lead on this resolution, but as Michael said, the resolutions are as urgent as the bills, so we have some time for that. So I expect to be meeting with them soon, probably after the holiday season. Yeah, that is, go ahead.
And then if you all saw on your board packets, committee assignments are out. You all have at least taken the training at this point, so you all know how a bill becomes a law, so I'm not gonna go down that route. But you're gonna wanna get to know the chairs and vice chairs of the committees that your bill may be going to. And then also, memorize, and I do mean memorize, the timetable for the things, because if a bill doesn't meet a certain timetable, it's dead in deadlines. And so that's why I gave you all the legislative timeline as well as the House and Senate internal calendars. So you can see those timelines for yourself, and you can have them, if you have to, put them in your calendar so you know. And remember that the 48-hour time period. And then the only thing we're waiting on is the days of the week and times of all the committee meetings. So that will give you also, you're going to want to integrate that into the calendar. So you know when your bill has to be at least calendared by before to meet the deadline, so it can get out and get heard as well as then passed on the floor for this next year committee hearing. So that's there for everybody's edification.
Thank you, Michael. I like having the updates in the board packet. So when Michael reaches out to everyone for next month, because he kindly puts these board packets together, maybe we could all reply with an update on our various bills and resolutions, so we can include that in the board packet as well. And that helps with the whole note taking and things too. Does that work for everyone? Awesome. Public testimony. Okay. And then speaking of doing a lot of work, update on required report to the governor and the legislature for 2024. Michael.
I'm not going to go through the report. You already have it all before you. I'm pretty sure you've all read it by now. I have made a couple of edits to it. I've added Sean's name to our Mahalo list from DHS and a couple of grammar errors. And I did update the terminology under the banning of gender mutilation, forced gender mutilation, the intersex bill. The information I brought back from the convention. So those are the major updates for that than what you've had before you and what was put out in the board packet. And I do want to draw everybody's attention to the summary, where we will, they will be getting another, we're basically guaranteed they will get another report from us in July of 2025 to go with our fiscal end of the year report. And the only other updates will be added if there's anything else that needs to be from today's meeting. Otherwise, I will make those amendments and get it to Malia, so it can get transmitted over to the proper format, through the proper channels to the legislature and the governor's office. And we did add Lieutenant Governor since she did do our swearing in ceremony.
Anyone have any questions or comments on that, commissioners? Rick?
Just a minor edit. In the one of the first paragraphs on the report, could we make sure, I'd like to make sure that when we talk about the commission, we list it as it's actually a 14-member, not an 8-member commission. And Michael does include everybody, all our ex-officio members, but just in the preceding paragraph, I think it refers to an 8-member commission. And really it's a 14-member commission with 6 ex-officio and 8 voting members.
I'm following what the statute says. Because and for quorum, it only, unfortunately for quorum, we only look at our voting members. And so that's why, and that the non-voting members are there for.
But the commission itself is 14, right? There's 14 of us, but only 8 voting.
I'll go back and look at the statute and see how the statute actually reads on that.
Thank you.
15 members, 6 non-voting, ex officio, 8 voting.
Sorry, Aaron, so you said there is 14 officially?
Yes.
Thank you. Any public testimony on that? In our report? Okay, and next we have, and before I move on, let me just say thank you very, very much to Michael for writing that. It was amazing. I don't, I would never have had the time to get that done. So thank you very, very much. And Michael also got to attend the National LGBTQIA+ conference. So we are looking forward to hearing about that.
Mary Chair, were you going to vote on approval of the report?
Oh. Yes, sorry. You have to. If there are still amendments to be made, can we vote with knowing that there's going to be amendments to be made?
If you agree on the amendments, you can be like, we vote to approve with these amendments being made. And that would be sufficient.
So the one amendment was switching to 14 commissioners in the first paragraph.
Well, because the governor didn't appoint. If you go back and you read that, it actually says Governor Josh Green appointed all 8 voting, all 8 commissioners, voting commissioners. In 2024, it talks about our swearing in. The non-voting members are. And see.
Okay. That's the only amendment.
Well, changing that to 14, it doesn't make sense because the governor did not appoint the non-voting members. They are already there by statute. And actually, they're all the designees of the there by statute.
So we're voting on it unamended, voting on it as is, unless anyone has any issue.
I agree. I would like to say I agree with Rick that the paragraph prior to that, the Hawaii LGBTQ+ Commission is composed of 8 commissioners. I would say that should be for maybe 8 voting commissioners and 6 ex officio.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so then we need a motion to vote for that vote for the report with that one amendment.
I think he said that he had a couple of grammatical amendments as well, grammatical changes.
from the one in the board packet?
I updated the terminology under,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Is the correct one in the board packet, or is there additional
there's been
terminology and grammatical changes?
minor grammatical changes and updated the language on banning, let's see, it's actually. Yeah. I did update it in the board packet. It's what you see in F on the board packet. It's now, that's what it's gonna read in the report. When it comes to the ban.
You want to read it to everyone? So they know what it's like.
Ban forced gender mutilation, formerly known as gender assignment surgery. One in every 1,000 births, actually 2%. So it's actually two. Actually, I got, and then we're updated to 2 in every 1,000 births. The baby is born intersex. So yeah, that's what the update now is.
So we have the amendments of changing to 14 commissioner, the amendment of that verbiage, and some minor grammatical amendments. Is that everything? It's different from the one time?
For now, if there's any other, okay, if anything else happens the rest of this meeting and it's noteworthy, it will have to wait till the July one, then July meeting.
Okay, so if you intend to add more to the report, then you might as well wait till the next meeting.
Aaron, that's not what I said. We're gonna do additional report. We're gonna do an additional report, or another report in July.
Oh, okay.
So
we'll just have a motion then to approve this current one that is reporting on everything up until the time that we're voting on this current one.
Yep.
With those 3 amendments. Can I have a motion? Oh, public testimony first, public testimony, please. Okay, now I'm sorry, can we have a motion?
I make a motion.
Okay, Sandy moved.
Second, Rick.
Rick seconds. Any abstentions? All those in favor? Okay, that passes. And thank you again to Michael for preparing that. All right. And then we're going to talk about your conference that you attended.
okay. Okay, so it's a lot worse than I thought it was going to be. Some things I did not actually put in the report. Pull that up. I'm not going to go over everything that I listed there. One of the things that everybody needs to be well aware of, and the one thing I do want to point out is that there's been anywhere between 100 and 110 executive orders ready to go on day one. He has already shown by who he's putting into place that he's going to keep all of his campaign promises when it comes to attacking our community. So there's a lot of things in there about what we can do to prepare. If you know of anybody that has a nonprofit, they requires federal funding, relies on federal funding that covers our community. They need to start looking for a different funding source, as well as maybe changing the names of their organizations. We talked to a lot of people, talked to several different people from Florida. That's what they did in Florida to hide themselves from their governor. And so we're gonna need to be bolder. We're gonna we're gonna need to be stronger, and we're gonna need to expect, and I've already put. In another hat I wore, I talked to legislators and telling them we expect them to be. Bolder, stronger, and be our actual advocates and allies with us in this effort when it comes to our community. The transgender, non-binary, Mahu intersex community is gonna be fully in the crosshairs of this next administration. And so we're gonna want to do everything in our power to make sure that we let our community know that that we're representing, that we're here to support them in every way possible that we can. And that includes legislation, that includes responding in a timely manner when these attacks come, because quite frankly, the attack on Maui is just the beginning of the iceberg. This is going to embolden our opposition time and time again. And so it was good to actually talk to other advocates. I did actually get to meet the executive directors from Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Washington State for their LGBTQ plus commissions. And so, Kat and I met with Victory Fund this past week. They're gonna be looking at trying to figure out a way of us connecting all of us, commissions, as well as those that fall outside the, what do you call that wonderful thing? Elected officials, all of us appointees. So we could actually, find support from each other. So, you have the rest of that in my report, and I guess I'm open to any questions.
What questions might you all have? I think it's really important that we stay connected nationally to know what's going on. And honestly, to take note of some of the advocacy that's going on already, right? I think that we can all learn from and with each other. So I welcome opportunities for us to engage in discussions with other states and other organizations. Rocco.
Oh, sorry, I had a question, Michael. When one of the bullet points that you had in there was, making sure that we get everybody in our LGBTQ commission registered to vote. Was there any strong suggestions or ideas about how locally that can be pushed harder, or maybe ideas that our commission can support moving forward to taking that on, even just on our own islands? I really, that resonates with me, where I know so many people who don't even bother in our community because they feel, fed up or hopeless about it. Is there any suggestions about a direction that we could take locally with that?
There wasn't anything locally that came out of that. It would be more of a, what was I gonna say? Figuring out what kind of ad campaign, what kind of thing that we can actually use. I think we point towards the race on the Evo Plain, where here is an actual advocate for our community law has gone to court because of the closeness of that race, where it proves that every vote counts in that race. If everybody had turned out in that district to vote, then they wouldn't, our advocate would have won versus our adversary. So those are the kind of things that we actually maybe doing a lot of this has to do with local engagement and interpersonal communication engagement when it comes to dealing with this. We have not seen, and working with the other NGOs with them to make sure that they do a voter education, voter registration drives, that they make sure that it's a priority, that everybody, no matter if you're a 501c3 or not 501c4, no tax exempt status, you are able to do voter registration and encouraged to do so. And I think part of this also goes back to them feeling empowered to then testify on these bills and testify on the claims that it's not just vote, oh, my person didn't get it, I'm done. It's that then whoever did get in, the person didn't get in, holding those other people accountable and making sure that our voices are not silent. Because quite frankly, the reason everybody's here is because I got lonely at the Capitol. I'm gonna put that right out there, frankly. That in an organization that I used to chair, we were the only guaranteed queer representation on every queer bill. And so this is how one of the impetuses for this commission was that it got lonely of it. So, and that now that we all have to be prepared for these upcoming battles, and we will discuss that a little bit further in more detail when we get to one of the new topics of business. So.
Great.
Yeah, just a question maybe for Aaron. Aaron, are there any prohibitions or caveats with regards to commissioners helping to register registration drives? Can we do that, or can we host that, participate in that?
Right. I'm sorry, you went out, your audio went out for a second. I think your question is, as commissioners, are you guys able to host voter registration drives? But there was a part that went out. Was that the basics?
Well, that is the gist of it. It was also, can we participate in actually registering voters ourselves?
I can check on that for you, but my guess is
Aaron, it's written into our statute. One of the
yes.
things. It's written into one of the purposes of this body to make sure that our people vote.
I appreciate that. And, I would also just get the method, like not just doing it, but what is the method for doing it? I would like to know more details on that, and I can help you work through that. But it sounds like that is a direction you can go in, and happy to discuss with the chair offline.
That's good. So yeah, if we have some more specifics going forth that I can discuss with Aaron, I'm happy to. Anyone else? Okay, public testimony. All right, then we are going to move on to reviewing and voting on the proposed commission logo use policy that is in your board packet. Anyone have anything to say about that?
I do. I have a question regarding at the very end, members of the commission may use the logo as outlined in this policy at their discretion on printed and digital materials for personal use, email, social media, etc. I read that to be that I can have the commission logo at the end of my email whenever I'm doing something that aligns with our priorities, and that I would not see as being conflicting in any way with the commission or otherwise advocating for a particular candidate or party. Is that correct?
That was my interpretation. Anyone else?
I mean, I just so I wrote this. I guess I wrote this policy. I mean, which was just a matter of my seeking out seeking examples online of a variety of things, and then I just sort of distilled it down to what made sense to me. And yeah, so I'm not committed to anything in here. It was like, well, it was kind of like, this is what I found, and then. So, it can absolutely be edited, and I think we could vote to use it, and then at some point, if something doesn't work, or we found a puka in there, we forgot to cover something, we can add it, right? That's my that. So I'm offering it as, you know, here's a draft of something. What does everybody think?
I thought it was good.
I think it's good.
Any public testimony on it?
No, Shanda brought up the personal use. It's not personal use, it has to be commissioned business. The use of the logo. So you can't just throw it on your personal email just because you have been talking about something that may be related to the commission. You use the logos only for commission business. So not personal business or personal use.
So for example, if you were emailing to a senator or representative about a priority because you're taking the lead on that bill.
Yeah, then that's fine. But if you're emailing the commissioner, emailing the legislator on something that may not be one of our priorities, then no. Just make sure everybody.
So
has
can
that.
we amend that sentence? May use the logo for official commission business as outlined in this policy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I would move that we approve this as I just said. I mean, I would make a motion that we approve this.
Is that amendment?
Do we have any public testimony on this?
Oh, sorry.
I asked her.
You do.
I did ask that, okay.
So there's.
All right, there's a motion on the floor then to approve with that amendment.
Second.
So that was Shanda and Rick. Okay.
Any abstentions? All those in favor? Right, passes unanimously.
Shanda, tell me again. So, members of the commission may use the logo for commission business as outlined. It's just putting that piece in. Is that okay? I'll edit it.
For official business.
For commission business.
Okay. I'll add that and then send it.
Thank you, Phil, for doing that.
Sure, my pleasure.
And then we are going to vote on the commission logo tagline. We looked through the last meeting and we decided we liked advocating for the LGBTQ plus population of the body. So now we will take any kinds of comments on that. And if not, public testimony. All right.
Are we?
Go ahead.
Okay. Here's where we have freedom to change, so we can. And something I was thinking about is the advocating for Hawaii's LGBTQIA community. Adding the other IA. And it takes it down.
For Hawaii's
Advocating for Hawaii's LGBTQIA community. Or Ohana.
community. Which one, community or Hana, would we like?
I think community.
I like community.
So that's my recommendation, that we go with advocating for Hawaii's LGBTQIA community.
Anyone?
I've lived in Hawaii for 20 years and I used to be an English teacher, so I want to ask this question. I always avoid wording things like that because of the okina and then the apostrophe. You know, okina, I, apostrophe, which I'm saying, it always looks weird to me, and then so I always try not to write something like that. But those of you who have lived here much longer, is it? I've never had anybody to ask. It's okay to go okina. Oh yeah, Sandy, you talk because you write.
I was gonna say I use it in the news all the time, like that with the okina and the possessive.
Okay. Yeah, it's not. I'm not opposed to it. I look at it and I go, oh, that's weird. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. But thank you.
But there's always the Hawaiian. There's also the thought of like this is that you don't use the minute you put an apostrophe s on it, it no longer is a Hawaii word. A Hawaiian word. It becomes a bastardized Hawaiian word. So then you don't use the okina. but that is sort of falling out of what do you call it? Favor, so that it is perfectly fine to use the Okina with the apostrophe S.
Yeah, I just wasn't clear, and it looked weird to me, and I'm like, that's funny looking, so I stopped doing it.
We could also change it to advocating for the Hawaii LGBTQIA plus population.
Yeah, we could take the possessive out.
It would make
Just
it one
use it
less
as an
word too.
adjective.
Can you say that again, Shanda?
Advocating for the Hawaii LGBTQIA plus population.
Population or community?
Oh yeah, community.
Community. Advocating for the Hawaii LGBTQIA plus community. Thad, you have your hand up.
Sorry, it's a meeting. Shanda actually addressed it. I was gonna just suggest the plus, but then Shanda ended the plus, so that's perfect. Just to ensure that it's inclusive of all the identities that are not listed. Thank you, Shanda.
So if I have no other public testimony, would you all like to vote on the amended version?
I want to ask one other question about this, if I may ask the question. At one point we talked about like business cards or something, and then I think that was the purpose of having a tagline, or at least one purpose was to, did we ever, and if we need to table this is fine, but did we ever decide on that? Like, where is this tagline going once we like decide we all agree or we like it, then
On the banner, on our letterhead, on digital formats.
Okay.
Anywhere we can look, right?
Well, depends on what the logo's being used for. There's a little, so.
It's our
So
branding.
did we, yeah, I get that. So the question did come up a couple of times about business cards. Is that another topic?
We okayed this, we okayed the expenditure, but we were holding off on it until we did this.
Okay, thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve as amended, the tagline?
So moved.
Michael moved, a second.
Second.
Rick seconded. Any abstentions? All in favor? Passes, thank you. Okay, and then the last one under old business, because we gotta get to new business here. Discuss and vote on including a list of resources on our website. So there's been some discussion about, we don't want to be redundant in what we're doing, because that they have a wonderful website, there are many resource websites. So there's been some discussion of what might we provide that would be different or unique, or what do we need to provide? So what do you all think?
To be in compliance with our statute, we are supposed to be a clearinghouse. And so the idea that things are redundant, just because you know about it, doesn't mean somebody else knows about it. And so in some cases there will be circular, you see that across every community. It's just making sure that we are inclusive of everybody within our community, and making sure that if they want to be listed, they're listed. Coming up with maybe a Google form for those, if you see something that's not on our list, fill this out, we'll get it added, kind of thing. With quarterly updates, or depending on how much time somebody has who's gonna take this over, but there will be things on our list that you won't see on somebody else's list, and we're supposed to be like employment opportunities in the state. Hawaii Civil Rights Commission. We only know these are the resources the state has for them, should they be ever discriminated against on the workplace or in public accommodations.
So, I mean, I would assume anything that we have on Department of Health website would be good. But then if we have a Google form and people are filling that out, what kind of a process do we have for vetting organizations that we might sponsor, not sponsor, but imply that we're sponsoring by listing on our website.
Okay, there'd have to be a disclaimer, we're not sponsoring anything, this is just for informational purposes only. That we take no legal responsibility
Yeah.
or whatever, this is for informational purposes only. There should be a disclaimer on that.
Something like that has been submitted to us, like,
It's been submitted.
yeah.
And so. That we take no position either for or against any of these organizations here, these provide services for the LGBTQIA plus community.
What do you all think?
I'm happy to create a form, a Google form, and then everybody can contribute, then everybody can see what's already on there. Because I did send an email a while ago about that, and I probably got, maybe 5 or 6 resources. So I can put those, in a spreadsheet and then create a Google form, and then everybody should contribute, like look and see and contribute. What happens then though? How does it end up on our website?
We request that it does.
Okay.
Yeah, on that note, we just put a link on there to, this is the thing, we control the form on the Google Docs. And that we're not asking that the form be replaced every time, but we actually, and that's how we do the minutes, and that's how we're doing. Like, I have all of our policies done that way so that we can control, should we make an amendment to the policy in this meeting, a policy that we put up, we can go and amend it. So we don't have to bother the staff time. Because even once we get an administrative 2 in there, we have to keep mindful that they're only going to spend 50% of their time with us. So that we have some type of control. And on that note, a request has gone into Sean to update the website. And bring us in. So for our listing of officers, commissioners, as well as removing the thing at the top. And then also adding this meeting in November and some of the stuff in November's meeting. The matrix in there.
Yeah, we don't actually type in the things on the website, we have to request.
It is typed out, it's hopefully just make it easy to
I
copy.
guess we don't input it.
Yeah, we don't actually
input it, I should say.
we don't
Sorry,
actually
my
touch,
blind hole.
we don't actually touch the website, so
That's it. Okay, public testimony on that? So we are voting on including a list of resources on our website. And we have indicated that Philip is going to make a Google form and that we're going to have a disclaimer. Can I have a motion to approve? Oh, public testimony, Okay. Motion to approve?
So moved.
I make a second.
Sandy seconds. Any abstentions? All those in favor? It passes. Thank you. All right, we're jumping to new business. That's number 5. Okay, so commission legislative policy to deal with testimony to the legislature. See the board packet. All right.
So I drafted this. Trying to look at every so we can move forward to make sure we're all prepared come January. Because things are gonna move and it puts on who's responsible for what. Because if you're a lead, you're responsible for drafting the testimony and how that gets inputted. And then once we get if we get a secretary, we're gonna have to have backup. And so we said. The only other thing I had, I wanted, it's supposed to gonna, under number 2, the 3rd bullet is they put in a requirement that the, and we can review, put the requirement that, it will be added to whatever bills that we testified onto that come up that we may have not caught, we may not have a position on, that we will report back and get gives you all, if you to approve, or if you don't approve, then we just don't, we won't testify again on that bill with that position. If the next available committee meeting. So. But that's the idea that we pass this time, and then we can come back and amend it to that, in case anybody else has any other changes.
Rick?
Can you tell me what an emergency would be? I'm not sure I understand. It talks about in case of emergency, the chair and vice chair can agree to, but I just don't know what an emergency.
Bills that we missed. Okay, bills that we missed. A bill that has been amended in committee to include or go attack us. That is what is an emergency, because anybody who's done the legislative process knows that things move quickly as we go through the legislative process, and we will not be able to. We should not act between our meetings should a bill get a hearing that we dislike, and we may have missed in our review, which then reminds me that everybody's going to be responsible for helping to review all 6,000 bills. Because that's what we're going to look at 3,000 in both chambers. And so there's 6,000 bills that need to be reviewed. To see what positions we're going to take on, but we know what our priority bills are. We already know what positions we are in that. But should a bill come up that attacks us, or supports us, let's think positively. That we definitely should be able to testify, even though we haven't taken a position. Because we're going to be meeting in the early part of January. We won't meet again until February. The bill cutoff deadline will happen in between those. And so there's that. And then again, the bill may be amended during the session that either includes or moves to exclude us or what have you. That we can then pivot or come up with a new strategy on that bill, or be able to have our voices heard on those things. That's what an emergency is.
Isn't there a way that you can put in keywords to be flagged when bills come up about it? Isn't there? Wasn't it a search thing that they'll alert you to when bills come up for a certain? No, not at all.
You can.
I thought.
I know it's, but you have to go. You actually have to. There's the keyword search is for the city. But you're gonna want to read through every. I've done it for the last 15 years. Sometimes by myself. So. Especially with some of the comments that were made earlier and at a previous meeting on things that have intersectionality that may not just be LGBTQIA specific. So if we're going to go down that route, we have to review every bill. There's a cheap way of doing a search, and once all the bills have been introduced, is just do a search on the description.
Right.
But then you don't know what's in the actual subtext text of the bill. So that's what an emergency is.
Is there a way to divide and conquer that?
There's a way. Yeah, but we can discuss that in January.
Okay.
That's what an emergency is, Rick.
Any other discussion on this legislative policy?
I move that we, after public discussion, that we approve this policy.
Public testimony?
I'll second that. I do want to point out in here, the last part of this is it doesn't have a number of public engagement. Like I talked about earlier about going it alone, it gets lonely there at the Capitol. It got lonely there at the Capitol for many years. And that we're going to want to seek out other help because it's going to make it a lot easier to get LGBTQIA plus specific bills passed, especially since the Con Am did so poorly. And everybody can, again, I'm a Dr. Gloom, But the 1.3 passing is not a win. On an issue that passes 70 to 80%. We know what the problems were, but the fact that we're now going to have to, that some legislators are going to use that against us. Even though we didn't exist then when the commission, when the Con Am was drafted. And there were other advocates that were actually advocating for a different bill. That we need to remind them that it's a new day. Time for them to, that we have shows of force, because our opposition does very well in showing up on things that they decide that they're going to attack. And we know our opposition has already proven themselves to be very active on that front, especially on Maui, and especially in the comment sections. So if you had, so anyways, it's on top. Anyways, so motion's on the floor, I guess,
Okay. So we had a second? We have a motion. We have a second?
I second.
Michael seconds it. Any abstentions? Oh, we said public testing. Any abstentions? Rick is abstaining. Any no's? Okay, then the rest in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's passed. All right, potential dates for the 2025 meetings I have down there. Does anyone have any major conflicts with any of those? Okay, basically keeping it the same day of the month and time that we've been doing it. Discussion location for meetings in 2025. Is there any other alternative to being downtown that anyone wants to discuss?
I think it's free unless we can find something.
Michael kindly came early and he sets up the laptop and the owl and stuff, but if we have a secretary, hopefully that's something they will help with. But right now, it's the two of us in this room with the owl. Everybody else stays online, but we have to have a physical location. Okay, then we will keep it here and I will make sure that Kristen has those dates. Kristen, do you want me to email you those or are you just reading off the agenda?
No, we already saved it and it's been approved. It's in the car.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, discussion of topics or speakers for future meetings. Future meetings topics, I've already caught one from the beginning, was address in real time. How are we addressing things in real time like Maui? Anything else?
Inviting a council member from Honolulu about the amending the charter. I guess we should invite the governor many times.
Is there a council person that you are thinking of, Michael, or that you have a relationship with? I don't know.
I think the person would be, let's see how the reorg looks in January, then we'll decide. And more likely to be Tyler DeSanto's family, because he's in charge of the committee that would go to.
Anyone else? Okay, public testimony on any of the things regarding the dates and discussion topics?
Sorry, Kathleen. I don't have a good solution for this because honestly, I don't really understand how our money goes. However, maybe we can have a discussion at our next meeting about, is there anything we can do that will protect our funding come change of national leadership in Feb? Yeah, so our funding cannot be removed. What has already been allocated to us this year, or maybe even possibly next year?
Okay, I'm not sure of the answer to that, for sure.
That's a budget issue.
What funding are we talking about right now?
Sorry, Rick, you're a little muffled.
What funding are we speaking about right now? That might get this year versus next year?
Our
Our
budget.
budget. The DOH gives us, not the DOH, the state gives us money in an annual budget, excuse me, and I would hate for national politics to make that difficult for us to be able to spend that. So if we can problem solve and maybe have a discussion in our next meeting about any solutions to that to protect the commission.
Sounds good. Maybe we can all do a little digging on that because I really don't have any answers about that. Okay.
Another topic is finding private funding, about having a brainstorming session where we're doing private funding, because other commissions do may avail themselves of non-governmental funds. Because if they have to choose between us and school lunches, we're gonna lose out.
Yeah.
When the budget comes up.
Okay, I've got that. And then we're going to discuss the Creating Change Conference in Vegas, Michael found out about. Can you tell us about that, Michael?
This is where everybody who's anybody that does advocacy for the LGBTQI community goes. So I provided you all some background on that in your board packet. I expensed it out what it will cost. It is cheaper than sending somebody to the Victory Fund, because the Victory Fund costs around $2,600 for me to go. Where this one is, they do offer the Creating Change Conference. If you do 2 4-hour shifts, so if you volunteer for 8 hours, it doesn't cost the registration fee, which is $650. There are hundreds of breakout sections and workshops that the topic will not be made available until January. And this is where you'll meet elected officials, you'll meet people on the front lines that do direct services, people that have been doing this for years, advocating and educating on LGBTQIA issues. So,
So I guess, first of all, what's our budget look like? Shanda, the idea?
I do have an idea. We have only spent $5,000. So our total planned expenditure is only 10,000. So we definitely have room to add to our planned expenditures by doing this.
Okay. I know for me, that's the second week of classes, so that's a really hard one for me not to be there for. But are there those of you who might want to go to this? Rick and Michael, both raising their hands.
Sandy.
Anything else? Okay.
Sandy raised her hand.
Sandy? Oh, sorry, it's dim lit in your room. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. There we go. Okay, so 3 of you would like to go. So how do we want to do this? Because obviously 3 is going to break the bank, right? So what do we want to do as far as deciding who goes? I don't want to just make it like that.
Who's the other 2 people?
Me,
Rick,
Sandy.
Michael, and
Oh,
Sandy.
Rick and Michael.
Can we send 2 people?
yeah, you can, Shanda, can we afford to send 2? I think the only way you can afford to send 2, if those that agree to do the volunteering, the 2 4-hour shifts. And there is a requirement for you to do a online pre-arrival training. So, and then you sign up for that. Because at $650, it's kind of steep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good deal, volunteer.
Yeah.
We can
Do
send
they
Mike
want
and we can
to give us
say we can send
the
Michael and Rick. I'm good with that.
You don't want to go?
We can send the two of you.
Are you sure, Sandy?
Then
Yeah, that's fine.
I saw something else there too that you could, if I was willing to pay my own registration, they said self-funded people only pay 200. Then could everybody go?
And we're still looking at $2,000 a pop.
Okay.
And
Yeah, we can
And I
send
do
Rick and
wanna-
Michael.
I do want to warn though, here again, let's just remember the travel things. So I want everybody to know honestly that anytime you're being reimbursed from the state, it takes a long time regardless of anything else. It just really, really does. And so all of these things, if we can't use the P card, as I've been informed, then the flight and everything, you may be putting up the money for and then waiting months to be reimbursed. So I just want to be
Yeah.
realistic about that.
Yeah, we can send Michael and Rick. That's fine.
And Rick, you're gonna be responsible for filling out all your own travel documents.
Sure. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner, if you're gonna be doing the volunteer part, do you know what exactly that entails?
It says right there it says on the website that they have to go to another training, and that they just have to sign up. You sign up online and it gives you you get to pick the 2 4-hour shifts that you're willing to do. Able to
Yeah,
do.
what is the shifts for exactly? Like, what are you
It's
doing
the
during?
It's during
Yeah.
the conference.
Yeah. Okay. What do you do during the shift?
Being at the informational desk or,
You basically
It
are
says
moving-
on the website says it supports key areas, supporting registration and check-ins, serving as a room monitor, and or supporting general customer service.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take that question back to my department, because if you're going there as representing the commission, we'd have to look into whether there would be any liability for the state in doing that volunteer shift.
Well, let us know, Aaron, because otherwise it comes out of our budget. It's not impossible, but let us know.
Otherwise you go to self-funding now.
Yeah.
So then this would be, we pay for airfare, hotel, ground transportation per diem, and then we're responsible for however, we do the self-funding and finding the $200 a piece. Because it gets paid by the state, it goes to $650.
I have a question about this, just in regards to sending 2 people. Clearly what we want to get out of it is something that this commission is going to be able to utilize here at home, right? So if there's all of these hundreds of workshops and training sessions to attend, who is deciding which ones to go to? Is that something that the individual attendees are deciding, or we as a commission saying, hey, these are the things that we think we would learn the most and be able to yield something from these trainings and workshops from?
It depends on, depending on it depends on the skill sets of the commissioner going. That making sure that where you may have got something out of it, if I already have those skill sets, then I may go something to more, or be looking at something more advanced.
I think you should separate.
Yeah, definitely.
as many as
Yeah, we definitely would not double up on anything.
Yeah.
We're making sure that, because then we get the most bang for our buck.
But I think Rocco's right. Like if there's certain things that are our priorities and we want you to focus on going to sessions that are going to help with that.
Yeah.
It's like when I go to conferences, I always have to justify why am I going and what am I going to bring back and how am I going to use it, right?
Yep.
So I think that's fair, right?
I think it's a good idea. If anyone has any ideas, on on sessions, I would be open to that, because this will be my first session like this, my first training like this.
Or
I'd
would
be
there
open to any.
Would there be any way that, like if we agree to send you 2, that both of you can look through the workshops and sessions and then send us all something that we can look through? Hey, these are the ones that I think is going to be the most beneficial for our particular commission. Or do we just not worry about that? I'm just wanting to make sure that it makes sense to spend this money to send 2 people that we're going to get as much as we can for it.
Yeah, well, for the meeting, you can make a requirement that we submit for the next, be in the next board packet, the workshops that we each, plan on attending. And if there's any double it up, then we remove that and along with the list.
Yeah,
What
I
else
think
is
that'd be good.
available.
I
That
love
would-
that.
I think we would be interested to see too, just what you guys are going to be looking at and learning over there.
Love that. Okay. Do I have public testimony on that? Okay. Then we don't have it on her vote.
But you have the right.
I have the right,
power,
I have the power, I have. Oh, okay. Awesome. All right, then, let's do that.
Okay.
Approve. Awesome. Okay, and then discussion and vote to draft and send a letter requesting an executive order from Governor Green to turn Hawaii into a sanctuary state for gender affirming care until we get the SHIELD law passed. And this is something we've seen done in California, right?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
New Jersey did it by executive order and then they went back and picked it up at legislative. But we've already seen other states, Washington, California, Oregon, Michigan, New York City, New York State. So yeah,
What do y'all think?
we have the draft letter in the packet.
I agree we should do this. And the draft letter, is that going to be, I guess I'm looking at semantics here because that's not our letter. That is Abby's letter, right?
Now, Abby's letter is different.
Okay, so this is modified and different. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and provides the EO from New Jersey.
If you're looking, Shanda, are you looking electronically or did you print it out, the board packet? Electronically. It's page 166 if you're looking electronically.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything to say? They just shut the AC off, so I know that we have to wrap it up. Very quiet all of a sudden. It's like when you're in a restaurant and they want you to leave and they start vacuuming around your table. Any other discussion? Public testimony? Okay, then can I have a motion to?
So
Make a motion.
Sandy, go ahead.
And second?
I'll second.
Right. Michael, are you taking the lead on sending this? We are sending it.
We're sending it.
Let me know if that's something I have to follow up on. Okay, and so I think we are.
And there is Kat. I just saw there is a little typo though. So this is going to be edited, right?
The draft, the letter?
Yeah, right.
What's the typo?
Oh, it was just real small. It's on the first page. Down under the first bullet point. Is that bearing? Is that the word that they meant to say? Bearing the extradition of an individual?
Barring.
Oh, is that how you spell barring? I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong. I thought barring was had two R's. I don't know why.
It does.
Oh, yeah, barring. That word's typed. I just did.
It's just a typo.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. All right, we have some future topics for our next meeting and our next.
Wait, did we vote on that? Or we don't have to vote? No,
we did.
We didn't.
We didn't.
Sorry, we didn't. Oh, thank you. Okay.
And just
we had a
to remind
motion.
you, we'll take public testimony and then just to remind you the motion, and there is a second already for the letter to go as is. So then you'd have to do a new motion and a new second for a letter with amendments to fix the typo.
Okay, public testimony? Can I have a motion to approve it with the amended typo?
Motion.
Second.
Rick seconded.
Second.
Any abstentions? All those in favor? Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you all very much. There was a lot of work today. I appreciate all of you very much. And I will see you on January 13th. Have a very happy holiday.
You'll see us on
season.
January 11th, January 10th.
Oh, that's right. That's before the meeting, isn't it? Oh,
Happy
that'd be fun.
holidays.
Happy
Sorry, you need
holidays.
a motion and a second to adjourn the meet and then
Oh.
a vote. to
I
adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Michael seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Testing.
Thank you for your patience, Aaron. Bye-bye, everybody.
Mahalo.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.